Carter, he is a sales rep with Carbon Robotics. Austin, over to you.
Adrian, thank you. Thank you CFVGA and CSU Extension for giving us an opportunity to be out here. I'm Austin Carter, I work for Carbon Robotics. I'm here with Roy and Travis, and we are the laser weeder. So the implement I have behind you is our demonstration bud. It's not a commercially available product, but we use it in instances like this to showcase the technology, let you see what we can do. Company was started in 2018, headquartered in Seattle, Washington. At the end of this week, we will have 35 units in 17 states and 3 Canadian provinces. So that's a little backstory. We use AI and deep learning technology to move over 40 plus different crops. There's 4 predict cameras in the front. On this unit, there's 8 target cameras. Those predict cameras work with our deep learning technology to identify the difference between a weed and a crop, and use lasers to shoot that weed with sub-millimeter accuracy. So what I want to do here is just give a little introduction to our company. We're going to get the machine going, let it run to the end of the row. I'll answer questions if you guys have any, but then we'll bring it back and answer any more questions you may have. Sound good?
This is your cool video opportunity also. You want to walk alongside it. Look, you can see the spark underneath the machine. That's where the laser vacuum is.
Yeah, if you can, please just come up to the back of the machine, in and out. Don't ask, just using the phone machine. Feather flag, so we're going to cover 6 beds, 6 of these 48 beds with our 20-foot implement there. 8 lasers on this machine, 30 lasers on the production chain.
Big thing is, we have something last. Why don't you weed over here where the weeds are bigger? The reason we don't want to weed, we have to change the mentality of weeding. We want to weed when the weeds are small. We want to weed as soon as the onions, if you will, are coming up out of the ground. So we want to weed 10 to 14 days after planting. That way, there's less time shooting that weed, and we can move faster through the field. We can cover more acres. Now,
When you use the mic, put the mic really close in.
It'll be.
I don't have a mic. I just have a really loud voice, my wife says.
We can't hear you way over here over the noise of it.
I was just saying that we had a couple people ask, why aren't we weeding over here where the weeds are bigger? Because we don't want the weeds to get that big in our fields. Okay, plain and simple. It's taking moisture, it's taking nutrients out away from our onions in this case. So we want to weed 10 to 14 days after planting. For instance, the onions are coming up. weeds are coming up. Therefore, we want to be in there weeding as soon as possible. You say, well, the weeds aren't going to be there. Believe me, the weeds are there. If the onions are growing, if they've germinated and the onions are growing, guess what? You have weeds coming right there next to them. And the model, I come from Central Washington, Washington State. World's largest onion grower is there, 90,000 acres. They have 4 of our machines. The machines, see the flags down there? That's how wide the machine is. 20 feet wide. It would take in 3 of these beds. They are running it. They go through the first pass, getting 90 to 95% of the weeds that are there. That first pass takes in the annual weed growth for that field. We'll get about 60% of the annual growth that first time the weeds are growing. That's what they're seeing. The second time through the field, they are going to be getting into the high 80s of the annual weed growth for that field. If they have to go through the third time, they will be 95 to 99% of the annual weed growth. That's their weeding model right now. Another very powerful thing is, you see this hard crust on top. If that is not disturbed and you have a rainstorm come through, chances are smaller that you're going to get any second emergence of any weed because of that hard crust that's on top. We all know that it's cheap to go through and cultivate. $10 an acre. You can go through and cultivate multiple times, but you can't get close, and you're disturbing the ground, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to get regrowth once you put moisture on it. With the laser weeder, we create this hard pan, we keep that, and that helps deter the growth of the weeds. Very powerful step with the laser weeder, getting what is growing initially and getting any second and third emergence, along with not disturbing the ground. The question is, so our big machine, our actual machine, how many acres are we getting a day? The machine is 20 feet wide. Once again, it's as wide as those flags down there. They're running at 24 hours a day. This onion producer that I was speaking about earlier, out of that 24 hours, they are actually shooting weeds 20 hours a day because of rotation, breaks for the operator, so on and so forth. Out of that 20 hours, it's about 40 acres to 45 acres depending for one machine. And the reason that is, sometimes your weed density is higher, therefore you have to slow down. Sometimes it's not as heavy, so it can speed up. Average is between 1 and 1.8 or 2 miles per hour is what it does through the field. The actual implement sits behind a tractor. John Deere, if you will, is a 6175. It has a front end PTO. Out the front of the tractor, you have a generator that runs off that front PTO with a pigtail that goes back to the actual implement.
What kind of generator is this?
This one, the generator, this autonomous one for demo purposes, it has a 4-liter Cummins diesel in it that's running it, and it has a generator off the side that powers the lasers. There's a cooling unit in there for the CPUs, a cooling unit in there for the chiller, and so that's what the generator's there for, to supply this autonomous vehicle.
In the Columbia Basin, did they eliminate cultivation?
The question is, in the Columbia Basin, did they eliminate cultivation? Yes. Because you will see how close it gets. It can shoot within millimeters of the onion. And onion is one of our most powerful models right now, because as the machine goes through, it's collecting data. It is a true AI, and it is sending that data to the headquarters. The programmers are seeing what's going on, saying, oh, I missed that weed. Why did I miss that weed? Is that a weed or is that an onion? I'm not sure. And a situation with that is when onions pre-emerge, if we have any onion growers here, you know onions just don't pop out straight. They come out and have a hook sometimes, and that tip hooks in the dirt. It was shooting that thinking it was grass or a different weed because it didn't have the characteristic of that straight onion leaf. So guess what? I don't understand this terminology, but this is what the deep learning programmer said. They punish the program. I don't know how you punish a program, but they punished the program and it stopped shooting that onion that had that characteristic of that curl. For instance, 2 weeks ago, I went up in eastern Washington, I went into a seed company that had Indian blanket flower. Never heard of it, never seen it. Machine never seen it. We pulled in 2 days before the demo. We took imaging every 2 feet, sent that off. They label what that plant is. They label the weeds. They download it. I started the field as I was coming through. It started at high 40% accuracy. About 100 feet in, it was at 60-some% accuracy. By the time I did the demo, it was in the low 90s. That's how accurate it became. The question is, does a machine learn as it goes, or is it the programmers? Yes, the machine can't learn by itself without the programmers telling the machine what to do. Yep.
Example right here. It's hard to get closer than that one was.
Yep. See, this gentleman just pointed out how close it got. We can get in, shoot the weed, and not damage the onion. You can't cultivate that close.
Why don't you program it to kill anything that's not an onion?
The question is, why don't we program to shoot everything besides the onion and kill everything? That's the goal. Sometimes, another thing, how it was put to me by one of the programmers, we have cameras at the bottom of the laser weeder, and it is seeing the weeds in what I call, and this is not the terminology that he told me, I just call it this, in this kill box. And as these weeds are entering, it is saying, yes, that's a weed, oh, that's an onion, oh, I don't know what that is. There's those choices. And then from there, it starts to prioritize what weeds it is going to shoot. So we are trying to get to 100%. That's our goal. But we're about 95% to 97% usually on our production, because sometimes that weed density is too high to shoot everything that's in it. So it's prioritizing. If you have 10 little weeds and 2 bigger weeds, guess what it's going to do? It's going to shoot those 10 little weeds, leave the 2 big weeds, so the next time that you come through in a week or 2 with the laser, it can have more time to shoot those 2 bigger weeds and kill them, instead of shooting those 2 bigger weeds and leaving 4 or 5 of the bigger ones or the smaller ones, and in 2 weeks they will be bigger weeds, and it won't shoot all of those. So it's prioritizing as it's going to be most efficient.
When's the weed too large to kill?
And the weeds, there are, what is a weed?
When's the weed too big to
When
kill?
is a weed too large to kill?
We got big weeds around here like this.
Well, won't kill that one, and I won't even try pulling that out because it's going to hurt my back, so I won't even try that one. So the laser will kill any weed, okay? I like looking at things at extremes. If you set the laser on that weed all day long, I will kill that weed that's 2 inches in diameter, but I won't kill any other weeds in the field. What we want to do is, once again, back to that first question, why aren't we weeding over here? Why are you weeding here? Because the weeds are smaller, shorter duration, and we can keep our ground speed so we can cover and weed most efficiently.
Does it not slow down as it goes because it's bigger weeds?
Great question. Does it slow down because they're bigger weeds or more weeds? Yes, it does. For instance, another onion field had a drip system in it. There was a hole in the drip system and it was spraying out, and there was about a 15-foot diameter that there was a really large flush of weeds in it, because the water was from the surface down and instead of from the bottom up towards the root. So as we were going, and this was behind the actual large production laser weeder, sorry. As it came in, it says that, hey, we have more weeds here, we need to slow down. It indicated to the operator, we need to slow down. It slowed down. It weeded through that section that had that drip system leak. As soon as it went out, it said speed up, and away we went, sped back up.
How many acres one machine do if it was just onions?
The question is, how many acres will a machine do if it's just onions?
It's going to come back to the same acres again and again.
So once again, in a 24-hour period, it's running about 20 hours, and we're seeing about 40 to 45 acres in that 20-hour actual shoot time.
But in a season,
Oh, in a season?
in one onion cycle, how many acres could one machine cover?
I cannot. It all depends on the weed density, and every region's different. So 40 hours.
The Columbia Basin, 4 machines for how many?
They've been running them ever since the 1st of March, every day. So yeah, so 40 hours a day times 180 days.
40 acres a day.
40 acres a day, because they go from one field to the next, to the next, to the next. And what they're seeing is, this kind of leads into another scenario. When you have this machine and you want to hit that window of weeding 10 to 14 days, you have to schedule your planting. You don't want to plant 500 acres in 1 week, because then your laser weeder won't be there if you only have one machine. You want to be able to plant and keep up with your laser weeder depending on how much you can laser weeder per day. Therefore, if you only have one machine, you plant 40 to 45 acres a day.
When do you come back for your second go around?
When we come back for the second go around, whenever they see that second flush, if they get a second flush. Because drip tape fields are different than irrigated from the top, from circles or whatever. Whenever they see that, and it's just up to the farmer, whatever they see. But you do not want to let the weeds get big. No, the question is it only surface or is there root control? We do not shoot the roots. As soon as the plant hits photosynthesis and we're able to hit that stem, it explodes the moisture in that stem, and then it cauterizes it, so it will not grow. So actually, you are killing the plant, because at that point, that root can't regenerate and go back into photosynthesis. Soil moisture does not affect.
So, like carrots, can you go in and weed before they come up?
Question is, as in carrots, can you go in and weed before they come up? Yes, but if you're going to disturb the ground, it's all up to the farmer. But that won't do any harm to go in and weed ahead of planting. If you have transplants, like if you have a crop that you come in and do transplants in, yes, you could weed before you do the transplants, because you're not disturbing the ground when you're doing the transplants, when you're making those holes. So that would be a scenario there.
If you've ever had a situation where a weed has caught fire and caused any issues.
Austin?
We are not having weeds catch fire, but we have planted or done a demonstration in straw or some strip-tilled rye, and the laser's hitting that with catch fire. In fact, I think we have a test unit going to Hobbs, New Mexico, early July to put some tanks on the tractor and have a boom set up on the back to suppress that fire.
With the herbicide?
Yep. No, or with fire, just with water, to suppress the fire.
For our area melon growers that are growing on plastic mulch and a subsurface irrigation system with drip, and this machine weed in the holes and avoid the melon plant down to that millimeter, kill the weeds that are coming up through the holes. And there's a lot of manual labor at the moment, strictly human manual labor.
So our machine can be trained to not shoot around, or to avoid the plastic, and train where we see each hole to come down and shoot lasers in that space. The hiccup would be the plant growing fast enough to out-compete the space for the lasers to shoot. Our motto is, if we can see it, we can shoot it.
We all know about Roundup now. And
just the safety of the machine. We're always wondering about getting under machines. And if that laser hits the person, what happens?
So the question was around the safety of the machine. Now they are class 4 lasers. They are completely safe to, in and around humans. If you do stick your hand underneath the machine while it is firing at a weed, it will put a large cigarette burn on your hand. But if you just stick your hand in, it will not shoot your hand. So safe, very safe.
So usually when you take the machine to a farm, you need to repair it or do any imaging beforehand, or is it like you can go on and turn it on?
So the question was showing up to a certain block on a field or a different ranch. What do we need to do to the machine? And our user interface is an iPad, very tractor driver simple to use. If you're running into a new crop, you just would switch from say onions over to broccoli in the model, and then you're ready to go. 3-inch beds, 3 80-inch beds.
Do y'all have any plans in the near term to make something that's not as wide for growers on smaller farms?
It is in the works, but on the near term, no, not yet. We want to make sure our product is successful commercially before we start other ventures.
Great. Any other questions? Anybody bring marshmallows or hot dogs they want to roast while you're okay. Well, guys, thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause to Austin and the Carbon Robotics crew. So I have personally nudged most all of you. Again, I am so annoying if you ever come to the CFEGA conference, urging you to complete our evaluation. You should have a QR code in hand. Some of you are going to stay for lunch. I know some of you may be taking off. Please complete your survey. Online is preferable. If you want paper copy, we got paper copies back at registration. But we want to know what you think. Like I said, we want to report back to our grant funders so we know the knowledge that you've gained and what you're going to do as a result of that knowledge that you gained. Are you going to explore the technology more? Are you going to tell other people about it? And most importantly, because I've been having conversations with these companies and we've been saying, gosh, should we do this every year in the state? Where in the state should we do it? Should we do it every other year? So we want to hear from you what you think CSU and its partners can do to advance mechanization and automation in Colorado. So with that, I would invite all of you to walk back to the extension office. It's the white building on the way to the pavilion. And inside, we're going to have lunch ready for you about 11:15. It's about 11 now.